Hey guys, this is the Tuninator, and this is another high-level Heroes 5 Tribes of the East duel replay. This is between Asheera on the left as Dungeon, and I believe Phoenix on the right as Academy, so let's take a look at the Heroes and Armies. Oh, I'm sorry, camera's being a little tricky. So we can see 17 attack, 3 defense, 22 spell power, 13 knowledge. So again, the big spell power you'd expect to see out of a Dungeon Hero, good mana you'd expect to see, these pretty decent, or good attack rather, and a pretty abysmal defense, but Dungeon usually, if it goes on the offensive, or it goes might, will do more charging anyway, so the attack is more crucial. Look at the Academy Hero, we have 9 attack, 9 defense, 11 spell power, and 14 knowledge, so more well-rounded overall. Dungeon's got bigger spell power and attack, so bigger ability to do damage, but the higher defense of the Academy Hero will help that as well. And it looks like they are very close in mana pools, actually. Normally the Academy Heroes can go quite large, but mana looks pretty even. Let's take a look at combat skills. So 3 morale, no combat skills. I'm just clicking spell damage, artifacts, and pretty much everything that's not already immune, as that's pretty much the standard when playing Dungeon, or against Dungeon. Although, no magnetic golems are an interesting choice. Yep, so pretty much everything's got the initiative and the spell damage reduction to mitigate the effects of Dungeon destructive magic. Looking at Dungeon. Advanced defense, evasion, and that looks to be it. Also, no shooters in this army, so this will be quite interesting. Anyways, without further ado, let's get underway. And like I said, I am interested by the choice of the iron golems, which we'll do here. So magnetic are normally taken for their ability to soak up destructive spell effects from allies, which is quite nice. Then we see the Jinns opting for first strike to wear down the Furies instead of using their curse, which is a valid option, as Furies can do a lot of damage, but they will die very quickly. Check the okay, so actually -1 luck for the Dungeon army here, and 3 morale. 3 morale, no luck for Academy, so you could be seeing some pretty bad things. Oh, and a big attack there from the Red Dragons. So that's going to prove a little problematic, but they will probably be whittled down rather quickly if they don't get supported. You can see a Shadow Mistresses over Matriarchs, which again means that this army will have, Dungeon army will have no shooting, but much greater hand-to-hand capability in return. And Jin's basically gonna die there for getting the first strike on the Sisters. Or the Furies rather, quite possibly still worth it just to get that unit out of the game. But see the Gremlins rather repairing the golems, doing some decent damage to Earth Magi. Line shot's always good for that. Oh, and is that a? Oh, arcane armor. I'm sorry, that's what Asheera used arcane armor on the dragons there. Tightens up in the melee attack instead of call lightning, so taking a retaliation. Oh, I'm sorry, that might not work on the red dragons actually. I always forget to see. So that they may be immune to that. I don't think they are. Grim Raiders getting stopped from doing any really ridiculous high damage charges. They'll be into the genies as well. But Academy Heroes are quite capable of pulling off some pretty spectacular resurrections, although with a fairly shallow mana for an Academy Hero. We'll probably won't be seeing too many insane shenanigans, but still plenty of mana to work with. And of course, again, fairly shallow is just relatively speaking, because, oh, Frenzy on the Shadow Mistress, so she's gonna hit the Hydras, looks like. Just shouldn't be too much damage, but it is unfortunate to kind of lose your own turn. Tier 6, especially when it's a caster like the Mistresses are, because they're quite useful for debilitating effects. So the Stalker just gonna move to block the Battle Magi. Oh, big damage there from the Grim Raiders. I always underestimate those guys can just do, with their shards, absolutely crazy damage to high tier units. It's very impressive to see. Not to be underestimated. Wasp class, so that we can get some, start messing with the replay a little here. Let's get past that. Might be the I know they'll hang in there a little while longer. Even with no real might skills supporting it as a defense, the Dungeon's big attack is still in and do a lot of damage in hand-to-hand combat. The Furies surviving with 1 left. And standing them next to the Battle Magi wisely to stop shooting, or they will still be able to spellcast. Stalkers are going to start whittling them down. So, oh, but an unlucky hit. It's very unfortunate. Dungeon players gotten off fairly easily with those so far. There haven't been any really crucial ones. He's dead. Oh, and an Incinerate from the Red Dragon, killing a lot of Titans. Blizzard Bite, not quite finishing the job, unfortunately. You can see Asheera bringing out some fire elementals. Asheera, as we often see with Dungeon vs Academy, the Academy or the Dungeon players, knowing that the Academy players are just going to take damage reducing artifacts, will just bring supportive magic or dark magic instead. So, nice to kind of negate that the Academy player's choice of artifact entirely, which is just another interesting example of all the kind of depth to the metagame Heroes or Heroes 5 has before you even get into the battles themselves. Sorry, Wasp Storms. The Gremlins are going to be, I think, eating retaliation here. Yep, retaliation from Golems because they were pretty useless at that point, anyways. Gargoyles try and get the Stalkers and Furies off of the Magi, but Stalkers have very high HP for level 1 units, so that'll take some time even with that many Gargoyles. Magi poison. So they're just trying to beat down the Stalkers as well, which makes sense because the retaliation's already been taken. Those Stalkers are going to go down fairly quickly, but they'll have taken out a decent amount of that Magi before they do. It's a worthy sacrifice. Mass suffering, so we're just going for kind of the mass, or Phoenix, sorry, going for the mass buffs and debuffs. The Mistress is finally getting to go again. Decent hand-to-hand damage. I do prefer them over the Matrix, because tier 6 shooters never really did it for me, and the Furies getting a hit. Not doing too much though, as there's only one left, and we can see that Asheera has begun what may be a long series of raises. It's got about 50 more mana than Phoenix right now, but both of them still have plenty left. And if they choose to, they can. Good players can really just prolong the game by resurrecting and raising like crazy. Unfortunately, the Ballista will now be doing much more damage, thanks to the 20% HP loss. But the cats have already had the retaliation taken, so Rangers are just kind of stroll in there and do some damage. So the Titans may be going for the Stalkers here as well. Yep, not quite finishing them off. Those little guys are tough. They may have absolutely terrible growth, but 15 hit points kind of speaks for itself for a tier 1 unit. Fire Elemental's finally getting to go, but the bad luck cropping up again. Hasn't been too much of a trigger, but definitely been a worthy investment for the Academy player, whichever artifact or skill they got that is doing that. And these Red Dragons have actually been surprisingly resilient. I think they've only lost one this entire game, despite the fact that they charged headlong in 3 or 4 units. Impressive. Because they haven't really been taking any serious damage from enemy units, however. Wasp Swarm continuing to just kind of chip away. We should see what we'll see the Titans. You couldn't see a Call Lightning or. Oh, they're gonna finish off the Stalkers, right? Of course. Oh, yeah. Sorry. There's the Dungeon Army has Last Stand. I thought they might earlier, but didn't want to call on until I that confirmed. But they do need to have Last Stand, so the poor Titan's not quite finishing off the single remaining Stalker there. Oh, and a Raised Dead from Asheera. Very nice. That's going to keep those Magi locked down. And the Titans as well. Some more bad luck cropping up, but those Golems are really serious threats to the Red Dragons at this point, given the massive stats parity that exists between these stacks. The defense attack is probably too big, but nonetheless, they're not going to be doing max damage. Stalker's almost getting whittled down all the way again, but still blocking up the Battle Magi and the Titan. And the Last Stand is just a nice ability to have because it gives you that one extra turn to, cast spells or do something with that stack, which people can get some very creative use out of. Mark of the Wizard on the Mage, anything that the Academy Hero cast will be mirrored to the mages, which is very good for kind of spamming stuff like a Resurrection or single target busts like Arcane Armor across multiple stacks. Wasp Swarm finishing off the cats. 122 mana to 80, so still about a 40 to 50 mana. And we can see Asheera just opting for multiple raises. Those Grim Ranger are not going to have much HP left, but they're going to be... Actually, still a fair amount of HP, I suppose, and they're going to be acting quite quickly. So, given that there's necromancers that's going to be able to beat on them before they go, the reduced HP won't be a huge issue. See the gargoyles just getting chipped down there. Gargoyles are a stack that often kind of make it to the end of the battle, or towards the end of the battle, and just dies really slowly without doing a ton of damage, because they don't do a lot of damage, but they do take a long time to kill, because there's only big numbers, and they're quite solid. Now the model, he looks solid, it's like a block of stone sitting on the ground, so... Sort of going off on a tangent there is one of the things about it. Yep, and you can see the Phoenix using the Mark of the Wizard for the double resurrection. So Asheera's going to need to start standing on some bodies, like she just did with that Stalker, to keep Phoenix from bringing back the higher tier units, as resurrecting Titans and Cats in particular can be quite devastating. Although if it does come to a raise and resurrection fight, Asheera does have a deeper mana pool than Phoenix does, so she'll be able to sustain her raises longer. On the other hand, however, with Mark of the Wizard, they're effectively being resurrected twice as fast with the Academy Heroes, so that could also be rather telling as an advantage. I think this could still go either way at this point. Dungeons, it does seem to be in Dungeons' favor, thanks especially to the 5-red dragon still in the field, and the big stack of fire elementals, but Academy is not out of the fight yet. A raise on the red dragons, was that? Bring 3 back. Oh, I'm sorry, something's been going on with the dragons where their numbers have been messed up, because it said they just got 3 back. I apologize, there's some kind of error going on there, what the replays do sometimes when stuff gets raised around. So they were losing numbers earlier, but it was just wasn't recording them. Ooh, and this could be ugly. Very well played by Phoenix there, getting the dual breath attack. Classic standby since the days of at least Heroes 2, possibly Heroes 1 as well. Cat's going down again, so the Mistresses will be able to stand on that body before Phoenix can act again. Looks like they're going to opt to finish off the golems instead. Even with the unlucky hit, looks like they're still doing enough damage to breathe that in. You can see some more interesting model issues. The genies are back up now. Not sure why. I'm guessing maybe they get killed before the next activation, which might explain why their stack is. Yeah, but you can see artifacts are being consumed now, which is why the hero is acting so fast. It's a nice thing the Academy here can do is really under pressure consume artifact. Oh, there we go. Sorry, again, replace just a little wonky like that. Consume artifact lets you raise your stacks back, acting quite fast. You can see she's going twice again before Asheera even acts. So this is likely going to kind of turn into a raise and resurrection fest, so I'm interested to see which side kind of pulls this one out, because Asheera's here again does have like a 40 mana advantage, but Phoenix has been raising quite a lot of units. Still, I think the dungeon still has the advantage here, and especially thanks to those 5 red dragons. Although if they can be debilitated by Phoenix, the cats may have a chance of bringing them down. Oh, and a Phoenix coming out. So that'll be very useful as that's a pretty strong Phoenix as well. 1000 HP, 400 attack max, so that's going to be doing a lot of damage. Phoenix is another thing that get really useful towards the end game, when both players kind of start to run out of stacks and mana. If you get a Phoenix out earlier, it takes a long time to kill and can deal out a lot of damage. So it's really good when you're trying to bring down, like as it gets to be in this stage of the game, to kill the enemy's last stacks before you can bring it back up. This is just a very nice damage soak, because they take so long to kill with their big HP reserve. and very large defense stat. Kind of like an Azure Dragon on steroids, if you will. For those of you who played Armageddon's Blade. Good times. So I'm inclined to say that Dungeon is very much so taking advantage here. Gargoyles are about the only real solid stack that Academy has left, so barring some dark magic shenanigans. Yep, and the Gargoyles just go. So yeah, that's just about going to be game, I think. Dungeon's pretty much got this one in the bag at this point. Titans are back up, but they're just going to get killed. Likely by the Phoenix, I would assume. Hive killing the cats, and yep. Once those Titans go down, that's just about going to be game. Well, she will be able to act one more time, so. Unless this is a disconnect. Which is possible, but I think that's going to be the end, because she's able to raise one more thing. Well, no, looks like Phoenix, knowing this is the end of the game, decides to instead just attack for amusement. I think that's what he did anyways. Yep, just shot the red dragons, because you know why not. So that is the game. Very well fought between Asheera. I don't know if in Phoenix, don't know if you've seen either of them before. Again, this is again from the season 1 of the Duel tournament. A lot more of those coming up. Another good example of two players who are both capable of raising a great amount of their troops, kind of squaring off in the end game and trying to outlast the other. So I hope you enjoyed. As always, look forward to more in the near future. This is the Tuninator, and I'll see you all next time.